I'd like to talk about the small world against the backdrop of a great evolution. When I was preparing for this speech, I was thinking of the major reports I read about the food and beverages industry recently. The majority of the MNCs have witnessed a slowing down of their revenue growth rate, and many analysts were concerned about the quality of these MNCs. And after an in-depth analysis, I learned that MNCs are still these MNCs. It's not their fault. But the time has changed from the old era to the new era of informatization. The mega production, mega distribution is out of date. The old approach is out of date. In the new era of informatization, if you can bear with me, I should say there would be no such thing as a mega company. There will only be mega platform, but no mega companies. Let's say I'm someone in my 40s or 50s years old. I might not turn to be popular among you, but there will be followers who prefer my style. And there might be small businesses who spend their whole lifetime doing a niche market, but they have every reason to be there. So in the future, there will be no mega brands or mega corporations. And I think in the new era, these mega players will no longer be the expert in the production or the distribution of products. They will be people sitting at the top coordinating different activities, or who have an assortment of companies and make sure they collaborate with one another. I'd like to spend the following 20 or 30 minutes to share with you my understanding about major control points that businesses should leverage. You know what today is? It's an important day today. You know the significance of today? It's the birthday of Luan, a famous TV pop star. Well, this is a moment of truth for me, personally. A few days ago, Luan took a picture by this postal box, and this postal box has become a scenic spot in Shanghai overnight. You see this postal box? And many fans, they line up in front of that postal box and take pictures with that postal box. And you couldn't imagine that, and you couldn't understand it. It was because April the 22nd is Luhan's birthday. His fans paid for the bulletin boards or the bus ad space, and some fans even approached me and asked me if they can buy advertisement space on our Tencent web page. Can you imagine that? They buy up advertisement space just to make their idols happy. So the world has totally changed. There were three types of consumers, or two types of consumers. Three types of consumers. Okay, three. Let's make do with three. People born in the 50s and 60s, they seldom access the internet. Sometimes they, in order to keep in touch with their kids, they have to use internet. The second group of consumers, they didn't understand internet grammar or internet rules, but they were impacted by the internet. And the third group of consumers actually were born after the emergence of the internet. And they are empowered by the internet. They leverage the internet in a very creative way. Therefore, when we do marketing, we have to do it in a small world approach. Connectivity is what Tencent is good at from day one. But now we have reached the post-connection era. Our CEO once said that connectivity is not about turning our platform into a bigger platform. Our connectivity has to serve a purpose. We want to enable people, to empower people through accessing more information. You can turn your dream into a reality. That's why we say we're in the post-connectivity era at Tencent. Let me demonstrate this concept to you by playing this short video clip.
In China, by connecting everything, the internet is bringing new lifestyles to this old Oriental civilization. It is becoming normal that the media habits of Chinese people continue to change dramatically. The growing popularity of mobile devices is driving the lives of the Chinese people online. 9 out of 10 Chinese internet users are hooked onto mobile. Order a meal. Call a taxi. Shop online. Tune in at house. Nail care service at your door. And even engage in TV shows. Digital device has become a necessity of life, rather a way of life. It is connecting people with services, with devices, and practically with everything. The great quantitative changes are leading to amazing qualitative changes thanks to the connectivity. This is modern China to you, a digital China.
好，那进入这个后连接时代，我们应
In the post-connectivity era, what are the areas we need to focus on? First, mobility. In the past, we talk about the trend of our mobility, but let me tell you, it's no longer a trend, it's the new norm. The dependence on mobility, because it enables reading anytime, anywhere, the dependence on mobility is unimaginably high. Let me review these data with you. If you look at China, in mobile videos, product information, and consumption via mobile platforms, the growth rate is unimaginable. The second area to focus on is the generation born after the creation of the internet. We call them internet aboriginals. The number of mobile users, their habits or consumption patterns of the internet, and third, their values. Why are we following this group of consumers? My rationale is as follows. First, it's a significant amount of people, and they have a disposable income very high. Let's look at the age group in between 16 to 35. We call them the millennium. The population is greater than European and US put together. Second, their dependence on internet is so high. The internet jargons actually were created by this millennium generation. They know the grammar of internet. They dictate the grammar on internet. They know how to leverage internet, and they entertain themselves by using internet. So do not say no to this trend, but be part of them. Learn how to entertain them. Because by entertaining them, you know their psychological need. And only when you tap into their psychological need can you communicate your message through. Now look at their consumption patterns. First, they are very sensitive people. They are emotional people. I was born after the 1970s. I could not understand taking a picture with a postal box. But if you ask them, they would say, my idol touched this postal box. If I also touched it, that means I touched my idol. So you need to tap into their psychological need. Second, their consumption is more random. When we were first out of college, we made spending decisions carefully. But when these people were born, they were living in pretty affluent family. Money is never an issue to them, and they prefer some niche products rather than some mass market products. For example, if you're a car manufacturer, you might not need to play your TV commercial using the CCTV network. You can approach some targeted TV network. Let's say people born in the 1990s, they didn't like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, or Audi. They like Ferrari, Land Rover, and Porsche. I call them internet aboriginals. They dictate internet grammar, and they know how to build up the hype on the internet. And their dependence on internet is so high that it goes beyond my imagination. Without mobile internet, they could not possibly live. Now, let's look at how they approach communication. They are alone, but they're not lonely. We call them alone because they were all born to the single-child family, but they never feel lonely. We in the 70s prefer to sit around table, talk to each other, physically face-to-face. But they prefer creating a virtual space, chat room, and communicate with one another. They shun away from the face-to-face socialization that people in my generation prefer. They didn't care if you had the highest score in the recent examination. They thought people with great ideas, with in-depth analysis are cool. Now, let's look at their number of friends and the number of online communities they belong to and the number of messages they send on average. If you look at the output of a key opinion leader born in the 1990s, actually you can write several novels within a short span of 1 month. So first, mobile internet cannot be neglected. Second, the younger generations need to be followed closely. And the third area for you to follow closely is the Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities. Here, when we're talking about the next major battlefield, Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities. Have you noticed this phenomenon? The Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities have many mobile internet users, and they have leapfrogged the PC era. In the past, they couldn't afford a PC or a desktop, but now they can spend several hundred yuan to have a smartphone. And with that smartphone, they can do almost anything they like. They like to be part of everything. So the next major field is the Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities. Some car manufacturers have realized this already. But I think of FMCGs is lighter, more agile, and it's easier for you to leverage these Tier 4, Tier 3 cities more easily than car manufacturers. I think the biggest challenges are as follows. First, it goes beyond marketing. It's also about how you organize internally, from big and comprehensive to small and beautiful.
And if you use the old model that is heavy and that is not flexible, then it is not in line with the current need. You have to have really unique and flexible strategies and maneuvers, because in fact what you've done shows your attitude or shows your personality of the brand. You want to let the public know that you would like to embrace the internet age, you want to enjoy the internet age, you want to get closer to your consumers. So this representation of your values and your attitude is much more important. And you can't just build a brand through one single internet campaign. In particular, it is true to FMCG and food and beverage sector, because it takes time for you to build a brand. However, through these small projects, you let the consumers know that you have this innovative spirit and you're willing to talk and communicate with these consumers. Now I'd like to talk about this issue from 4 perspectives: followers, data, content, and interaction. I have to be brief in the interest of time, and you're more than welcome to talk to me after the presentation. Now first, followers or fans. Now we have this so-called followers economy or fan economy. This would mean real money and real transaction. So an example would be AKB48, a girl singing group, and they are equal to a value of $1 billion US. Originally, we would see the emergence of a star right out of the blue, and then we see more and more celebrities that would show how they grow into the stars they are now. So now the public want to see the stars at their growth stage instead of just star ready to be worshipped. They want to see how these average normal people that would work really hard to become a star. And they watch the development of these normal people, these aspiring stars, like they watch their sons, daughters, or the people they love. And this year, the champion of AKB48 has over 150,000 votes. And around a large number of these votes, in fact, came from fans in China for these Japanese girls singing group. So it is really important for us to take advantage of the fan economy or the follower economy. Tencent Video has a channel called Live Music. This live music service is quite different from conventional live music sites. It has a very small number of live audience, and before the live music starts, the followers can communicate with the celebrities so that they could tell the celebrities, tell the singers what they want to see in the concert, and you can interact with these celebrities and stars during the concert. For example, there is this coupon that is 5 yuan each, and you could have a virtual shake of hand with the star that you love. For us, it means nothing. Why would you want to shake hands virtually with the star? But the fans would be more than willing to pay 5 yuan for such a coupon and redeem them during the concerts. And this is a way for us to use the fan economy. Now for Tencent, we are a platform and we can provide many measures for brands to establish a closed loop. For example, we could do IP integration, we can do content customization, interaction sessions with fans, hot topic creation, fan club. For example, we have a Luhan fan club with over 7 million members. We could do data mining so that we'll know where the fans would like to go to in terms of websites and services, and we could do targeted communication, retargeting in this sense. And such a closed loop provides us with a lot of opportunities to engage with these fans. Now the second topic would be, or second keyword would be data. Tencent is a splendid data platform. We have a large amount of data accumulated over the past years. We have very rapid data processing capacity. A conventional survey would last 3 months and cover 120 people, but an online survey can be done very quickly and cover a much larger number of people. Now we have 860 million number of QQ accounts, 650 million WeChat accounts, and we are used on 770 million mobile devices. It is an open platform, which means that it is an enabler. We hope that it could enable our partner companies to really utilize the data. And last but not least, the data is safe, which means that we respect the privacy of our user data. And because of these features, we could provide you with many dimensions of services. I'll give an example. We have data, but the more important thing is how to actually process data. You are very familiar with the Uniqlo incident where a couple used a smartphone to record their intercourse in the changing room in a Uniqlo store in Sanlitun, and you could use our service to monitor the interest of the users on the internet on this incident. Now, another example would be we can work with the e-commerce platform of a company, and that company provided us with over 60,000 user account, and they wanted to know what our user profiles are, so we used their information to compare them with QQID. We have this data mining capacity because we have QQID. If you use cookie, the accuracy is very low, but QQID is like your actual ID number. You could trace them anywhere. So this can sound very threatening or dangerous, but we don't use it very lightly. So the user privacy is respected to the fullest. Originally, the company thought that most of their users were young people, but after our data analysis, only 40% of the users are 20 to 29. And originally, they think that 50% of users are in Tier 1 cities. However, the reality is 80% of users are in Tier 2 or lower tier cities. And the original assumption is that the user is only interested in entertainment. However, the reality is that they're interested in entertainment as well as educational content. And originally, they have no idea about their social media behavior. But later on, we discovered that they rely very much on social platform. And this changes their advertisement plan and strategy. It also changes their sales channels and distribution channels, and after such adjustments, the results have been very positive. This is an example of our work with Mead Johnson. Now, it is very easy to identify young mother with children, because if you want to identify people who like cars, it can be rather difficult to define them. But if you want to define young mothers with kids, as long as you see they post pictures of their kids, that you know this is a young mother and her kid. But of course, the data keep changing. For example, when my kids are over 5 years old or they're already in middle school, then they don't need to buy any milk. And in this way, we work with Mead Johnson in the long term. Our service is an enabler for them to get access to information on young mothers and their babies and children. Now, our vision is to establish a new ecosystem. We believe that the most important for us is to establish a DSM platform, and we need to have DMP data. If we could combine DSP, DMP, and SSP, you're going to have very targeted advertising, which is cost effectively. I wouldn't dwell into any more detail on this aspect. Number 3, the third key word here is content. I think you are all familiar with the reality show Voice of China. This title sponsor is Jia Duobao, an herbal tea, and in fact, many of these successful reality shows have brought great benefits to these title sponsors. In fact, the advertisements are not very effective anymore unless your ads are really good, such as the Year of Monkey ad by Pepsi Cola featuring the actor, the well-known actor of Monkey King's Monkey. Another example would be Pong's collaboration with us in an internet show, and the data shows that it does not air any advertisements, but after 24 hours of the premiere of the show, its sales volume increased by 400%, and this was totally unexpected. And that is what FMCG is going to do more and more in the future. Here, I would like to talk about live broadcast. We are very excited about it because we believe that 2016 is going to be the year 0 or year 1 of live broadcast. YouTube is going to create a VR live broadcast channel very soon, and we see many Chinese video portals that would have separate live broadcast segments. Now, many people are even willing to watch other people eating meals, or they would watch J. Zhou, a Chinese pop singer, play video games. So live broadcasting has become very popular. Now there are many forms of live broadcast now, and I would like to talk about ways to use such forms. The traditional forms of live broadcast would be for concert and games. These days, we have more people watching live broadcasts of games on the internet than on TV. Before, you can only watch the single feed that on the TV screen, but on the internet you can watch 4 feeds or, or alternately, and you don't have to rely on some others choices. Now, if you look at NBA, I understand that there are 4 seats that would cost you around $1,000 each, and you have to sign an annual agreement. However, if you sit on these 4 seats, you have the best view of the game. And for example, for 360 virtual reality, we want to create the sense that you are sitting at these 4 best seats of the NBA court. At the same time, there are a lot of interaction. Now, for the last game of Kobe Bryant, there were around 20 million people who watched the game live. And for Lakers Stadium, it could only hold 13,000 audience members. So you could see the great potential of live broadcast. Now, VR could lead to different experiences, for example, concert, games, and it could also be a great tool for IP. When you watch a reality show, for example, Voice of China, you could be able to watch through the perspective of one of the judges. And Zhang Yimou, a Chinese director, has recently announced that he's going to create a VR film. Now, we started live broadcasts in 2015, including live broadcast of year-end fireworks, single man, a train station that served one single girl in Japan, and we live broadcast the closure of the train station. We also live broadcast the intercourse of pandas. So there are so many different ways to do live broadcast, and we believe that in the future it is going to attract more people and it can be used in more settings. What should brand do? Maybe you do an offline event, you spend 20 million, and if you do that in the Nest, the audience member can be 60,000. That's the highest number. For HLA, it did a live broadcast which had an audience member of 500,000 and exposure was as high as 800 million pages. So for this 20 million for 2 hours on internet campaign, you could reach almost everyone on the internet, and this is very different.
The product launch online has a different experience as the offline event. For example, people can talk about what they feel about having that bottle of juice or whatsoever. Have you ever experienced the roller coaster VR? Someone put on the VR goggles and shouted excitedly. So with VR, you can enable users to have this first-hand experience. That means advertisers no longer need to spend heavily on some offline product launches, because with the similar amount of investment, that can reach more potential consumers. Number 4, creative interchange. Data traffic volume was huge. In past 1 year, the data traffic volume is greater than the 30 years accumulation prior to last year. Therefore, for brand owners, for advertisers, you need to know first, you draw people's attention to you, and second, you need to be precise, you need to be targeted. With data analytics, we can tell you who's interested in you. And for example, if you're here selling infant formula, but we can tell you what might attract them and lead them up to your infant formula. To give you one specific example, the red package. Red package is a major product that facilitates many interchanges. In the past, we collaborated with CCTV, but now we no longer cooperate with CCTV, but this approach still works. And we have some creations in this area with more creative web page of red packages, and now we can have a video streaming and message streaming, and also red packages by leveraging some celebrities. For example, it will make you feel like you send a red package to Yang Mi, a female celebrity. But you have to know that at the other end, it's not Yang Mi, it's someone else. But it still feel like communicating with your idol. It makes you feel good. And we find the demographical patterns among users using these interactive applications. For example, social red packages, you can share X number of photos, and how many users have sent a certain number of red packages. And we can also combine the red package with some offline occasions. And also around China's New Year, we also embed some video clips. In the past, we couldn't quantify the number of commercial videos pressed open by the users. Usually, if it's a commercial video, only 2 to 3% of people would press on these short videos. But during China's New Year, as high as 40% of users clicked open these commercial videos. I've also prepared a short NBA video. Do you want to watch it? Let me play this for you.
对，这是刚才的，就是我们讲究是玩一个东西，而不是看一个。然后接下来的这个是。
So you play with it instead of watching it passively. We're talking about more engagement and more interaction. These are fairly old cases. There were new cases too. For example, the bundling of the opening of a red package with a certain occasion. So these are examples of some recent cases.
2 million locations. Make the brand a strong real-world presence. How to leverage such advantage. Let users get in touch with the product. To enhance the brand's influence among young people became the biggest challenge of Double Meat. We need an innovative approach. We want to make the product of communication without changing product backing. Barcode and WeChat, we help Double Meat build a new way of communication between friends. Scanning Double Meat's barcode. Offering a 50 MB data package. Double Meat expressions for free. Making interaction between friends fun and happy.
1,888 data packages per day were snatched within 3 hours. Every expression shared on WeChat led to 21 clicks by friends. Over 1 million users engaged. The expressions enabled DoubleMe to interact with users in a close, continuous way, leading to young people's attention and preference.
To give you an example of a project we're working on, well, we've got this creative idea. If you want to be part of the relay of the Olympics torch, you can scan a QR code and have this image of a torch in your mobile phone. So you can view it in a portrait format or in a landscape format. And we can also include a little penguin inside. So the little penguin could hold a carton of milk in the place of a torch. So we enable users to engage with us, to create their own content, and had to have this first-hand feeling of the torch relay. I believe the organizer also want me to save some time to answer your questions. So for a quick wrap-up, this is no longer the era where big and comprehensive has the final say. At this moment, we need to be small and make ourselves beautiful. So in the future, we need to focus on Tier 3, Tier 4 cities. And also we need to leverage the resources of fans and also have a better content creation and better quality engagement with your consumers. That's all for my sharing with you today. Thank you. Well, you talk about the small world in the evolving evolution. But what you have described is more than a small world could contain. So, and you began by talking about the post-connectivity era and share with us your insights. And all of them are amazing lessons. We have some time to answer questions from the audience. So this is about engagement, right? Tencent has the largest traffic volume online. Well, I'm an outsider. But talking about traffic, you're looking at users using their eyes to see your web pages, right? So your traffic is about how many people have viewed your content. But if they watch too much web pages, they might suffer from the dryness in their eyes. So if I may ask you for a business card, because I can help your internet users to feel more comfortable in their eyes if they view your content for too many hours a day. And I think smartphones can create many business opportunities for product producers like mine, like my product. Well, I'm a straightforward woman. If I say anything that makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry. My understanding of traffic online, the creation of traffic is very difficult online. A small business might easily be squeezed out of business if Tencent gets interested in your scope of a business. Whichever app we launch, we start from scratch. We need to know what is behind the traffic. If we lose the traffic, where does this losing traffic go? So from the growth pattern of a WeChat offered by Tencent, well, all these small changes at each juncture build up to something and lead up to the next interesting area. Second, looking at the mobile phone screens is nothing healthy to your eyes. The more hours you look at your mobile phone screen, the bigger the impact on your eyes. So it's impossible for us to make the case in front of our internet users that looking at the mobile phone is a healthy habit. It's not. Okay, we have questions to answer one. We have time to answer one question. Hello, I was born after the 1990s. What have you have described totally matched the profile of my generation. I have this question because you were born in the 70s or 80s. How to make communication between my generation and your generation easier? Let's suppose I'm an employee at Tencent. I report to you. How do I make the case in front of my senior managers and people in the management position, mostly were born in the 70s or 80s? Can you give us some communication advices? How to make our voices heard? Well, if I say anything uncomfortable to most of you, my answer is sorry. You have to accept it. You have to cope with your bosses because they're more senior to you. My boss used to say to me, Helen, if you cannot turn yourself into a girl born in the 1990s, then you need to recruit people who were born in the 1990s and make them work for you. So I say the same thing to you. If you cannot change and cope, you will have to be replaced by someone else. Helen, thank you for your sharing and also thank you for answering our questions.